With us tonight for more perspective is Gordon Chang. He's the author of The Great U.S.-China Tech War and Losing South Korea. He lived in China and in Hong Kong for almost 2 decades. Gordon, thank you for being here. You said last year China is, quote, configuring its military to kill Americans. Given what we're seeing right now with the supersonic technology, nuclear proliferation, saber-rattling over Taiwan and other instances, do you stand by that?
Well, certainly. I mean, we are seeing a very rapid buildup of the Chinese military. This is more than just the defense of the Chinese homeland, and they're developing technologies which are going to be used against others. They've talked about this, about incinerating Japanese and Australian cities. They're pushing out against the Indians in Ladakh, high in the Himalayas. And they have actually talked about the United States as its enemy. Especially in August, we've heard propaganda that was directed at the U.S. saying that we were committing barbaric acts against the Chinese. In other words, this strident anti-Americanism is laying the justification for a strike on the American forces.
You talk about their military aims. Some people say they're out for world domination. I just wonder, is there a more innocent explanation to be found here? Is it possible? Because every country, no matter who you are, you want to be as big, as strong, as powerful, as important as you possibly can be.
Yes, but the United States after World War II was the most powerful nation in history. And what did the United States do? Well, it tried to strengthen Europe, which was basically creating competitors for the United States, because we believed in a strong and peaceful world where everybody prospered. China doesn't. This is the most ambitious regime in history. We have to listen to what they actually say. We're Americans. We think that we're entitled to be oblivious, but we should start paying attention to what the Chinese regime actually is telling us.
Here in America, leaders in both parties, this is now strongly bipartisan, are ringing alarm bells about China at this point. This is Democratic Representative Tim Ryan last week. Listen real quick.
When are we going to wake up? When are we going to have the guts to level the playing field, the guts to take on China, the guts to do what's right so our kids and grandkids can thrive in the United States? We have got to make these investments. We've got to make them now. Washington has to wake up, or the next bill we're going to have to pass is Mandarin in all our schools, because the game's going to be over.
He's talking about investing in ourselves, but others are worried about military aggression, human rights abuses, unfair business practices. Gordon, if America wants China to work cooperatively, if that really is the aim, to play by the rules, what is the best way to achieve that?
That's not going to happen while the Communist Party rules China, because it's inherent in the communist system, which is totalitarian, to go after all others. And in addition, China is worried about the inspirational impact that the United States has on the Chinese people. So, for instance, when kids were demonstrating in Hong Kong, they were flying the American flag and they were singing our anthem. That is, for Beijing, that is a warning bell of the highest order. And so, therefore, they don't believe that they can coexist in a world with the U.S. And they've been actually saying this in a number of things that they have been talking about. So, for us, we have to understand that we cannot coexist with the Communist Party. I know that most people don't believe that, but I believe that as we go forward, people will start to see the danger inherent in China's communist system.
Well, what do? We don't want a hot war, and regime change could be incredibly destabilizing. What's the best option?
I think the best option is to cut our ties with China. We should not be enriching a Chinese regime that is configuring its military to kill Americans. And yes, this would be dangerous, but after 3 decades, at least 3 decades of misguided China policies, we have left ourselves in a position where every path going forward is going to be risky for us. And this is unfortunate, but this is a failure of the American political elites to understand the nature of the Chinese regime. So it's no longer, I think, good to say, oh, well, that's risky, because everything is risky.
Final question. President Biden, President Xi are supposed to be meeting very soon. The White House had pursued it. China had delayed. Now it's supposed to happen. What is your advice to President Biden walking in?
Cancel the meeting. I mean, why should we be talking to China? We have mentioned so many times things that we believe that China must do, and they've been very clear that they reject this. I don't think we should talk to China. We should be imposing costs. When we impose costs, China will then come to us because they'll want to talk. But our being desperate to try to talk to China just encourages China to be bolder and more dangerous.
But can I play the opposite side on that? Wasn't the same said of Iran? Iran didn't come crawling on their knees to us recently to make a deal.
Because we have not enforced sanctions on Iran. We have sanctions, but we allow, for instance, China to openly violate them. So it's a question of not vigorously enforcing the rules that are in place. And by the way, Chance, that's also true for North Korea. We have allowed China to openly violate North Korea sanctions. So it's not a question that sanctions don't work. It's just that sanctions that are not enforced don't work.
Gordon Chang, we appreciate your insights. Thanks for coming on with us here at Newsy.
Thank you so much, Chance.